I just want to start this video by addressing a video that I did. That was one where I said I'm walking away, and I really felt it in the moment. Now, that was only, a day or two ago. It wasn't that long ago, but I felt so heavy in my mind. Now, on the face of it, I can understand someone might think that you're hot and cold, you're a bit petulant, a bit impulsive, reactive, all these little explosives. Because I'm a bit of a firecake, in all honesty. But the one thing about me is I transmute situations very quickly. So it can seem, I think my behavior can seem quite erratic when really it's fast, it's rapid healing. So that's really the difference within it. So like, I don't stay in a moment for long periods, where other people who are processing, like people unhealed or people who don't process things so fast, it might be that they get frustrated, it brings them down, so they get depressed, and then it goes through like the whole process, and it might take them weeks to get out of it. Whereas with me, it's a day, it's 2 days, it's literally just, it depends how heavy it is, and it's like I can get through it quite quick. So in that sense, you wouldn't say that person's erratic, would you? You'd say they're healing, and they're trying to figure things out, and they're trying to cope with a situation. Whereas I cope fast. Why do I cope fast? Because I've been through enough in life, when I think about like my projects I've completed, and even in that video I said it. So this is the video. It's just time to say goodbye. I didn't want to get distracted down. I probably have. In the video, I was making the point that all the work I've created has been in misery. It's been in exhaustion. It's never been fair. It's never due in happiness. But upon reflection, when you go deep enough, you think, well, that's interesting. So it means that my biggest breakthroughs come during hardships. So where like tough moments would break some people, for me, it's where I create my magic. Well, that's interesting. That doesn't mean I wouldn't be able to create it in happiness. So let's not get that wrong. It's not a case of, let's keep him miserable for his whole life because that's where he's going to create the magic. That's not no. But it does show that, if I think realistically, what that shows is if you can create during your hardest moments, imagine imagine the tapestry that can be created when you're thriving. I think that's the take home from it, but also the level of strength and determination that literally is naturally there is something that I should embrace and be proud of, because people can sort of criticize a moment and they can bring you down, like try and bring you down, and it usually is to elevate themselves. So they could look at my lifestyle, for instance, and think it's crazy. You should be conforming. You should be doing this. You should be doing that, just because that's how they live. But then you've got to look at the other side of that. Okay, there's no tangible financial success. Haven't had a breakthrough, in certain areas. But I'd say the accomplishment stands the test of time. What I've accomplished will last lifetimes. It will go way beyond me. It's legacy defining, isn't it? I've done something that I'm immeasurably proud of, and I should be proud of it. And again, some people might try to diminish it, but again, that's just to validate their insecurities and validate the life they live. A lot of time it comes from jealousy. But no one is ever going to diminish, in my mind, what I've accomplished. So I've done quite incredible. I've done 6 books, expecting to release the 7th. I just need to focus a little bit. Once I really hone in and I decide to prioritize it, I'll get it done. And then there's more work to do. So video come up as well after I was having this whole epiphany, and I've been feeling a little bit sharp. Now, I just want to make this clear. I've barely had any sleep. I'm sort of like in insomnia at the minute. I'm really struggling. My sleep pattern's everywhere. And it's now, 10 a.m. in the morning. It's like, I haven't slept. I already did a video that was 2 hours long. I just posted. It was about, where's that one gone? America in chaos. Trump's presidency aching to the Wild West. Is anyone free? Or something like that I put. And that was 4 hours ago. So that wasn't even long ago. That was literally in the middle of the night too. I'm even making that clear just to show that I create in hardship. Even if I'm exhausted, I'll still create. So I really wanted to do that just in case I ramble or go deviate. It's because I'm tired. Tired. So it's that. But a video come up after, of course, all this, and I thought it was interesting. It's actually a good concept, really. But before that, let's go to Trump, because I just did 2 hours talking about, like, it was a lot of, some of it was politics, but it's societal issues as well. It's to do with the protests and things. It's a lot. I thought it was a really good video. And then after that, I get this one about Trump, and I was like, oh, I just mentioned this, but I was talking about the fact that, you know, they're corralling people and they're deporting, like, what they call illegal aliens, which is ridiculous. They're not aliens, and it shouldn't even be illegal. Like, why can't the government help document people rather than keep treating them like vermin and trying to remove them? Why not support them if they're having a positive contribution to society? That's what I said in the video, and I've been saying it long enough. And then all of a sudden, I get this video. Let's get it up. Bear in mind, Trump's the one that caused the problems. Trump's the one that assigned all this shit and started to try to fast track deportations. and the price of food was going up when he promised it would go down. So his ego gets in the way. So he's the one that causes the crisis. And now look, he's acting like he's come up with the solution. This guy's mental. And I thought we'll put this in because it's relevant to the previous video. And I don't want to have to do a whole separate video just on Trump.
Today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, you know, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, you know, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you know, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Oh, he's finally figured it out. It's absolutely surreal. Meanwhile, these people have already left. They've already been deported. Is he going to bring them back? Of course he ain't. Damage is done. It's sick. There was another video I'd love to share. I'm not sure if I can better find it now. Yeah, just bear with me a minute. Right, this one is really important. This one's really, really important. Now, it's going to go off the whole meaning of my video in the first place, but these things need to be spoken about. This guy's put, when you joined the military to get your parents' papers, but ICE took them to Mexico already. I've seen, before the Trump stuff, way before Trump coming to office, I've been seeing like an attorney on TikTok. He pops up on TikTok and he explains the visa process, you know, whether it's a tourist visa, whether it's a spouse, all these things. And he always says the fastest way for someone to get a green card, to get or citizenship, is to go into the military for 2 years. I think it's 2 years. Go into the military, and that will fast track. That will automatically enroll you. Once you finish your service, you'll become a citizen. So that's a process in America. You know, that is actually a process. Anyone could say anything negative, but it's not. That's literally there for them. And some people will actually join the armed forces for that purpose. So then this person's put, like I said, their parents now have been deported. And meanwhile, they've got to continue their service. How disgusting is that? That's absolutely disgusting. There's no accountability, you know, with this freaking presidency. It's crazy. Someone else put that. That's the biggest betrayal ever. It is. You know, people can come up with any other excuse they want because people are just shameful, but that is disgusting to me. Let's move on to this other one. Oh, this is a good one. So this is irrelevant to that now. Let's get back on course to what my video was. So I think about the content I create, the life I live, you know, my path and things, and I get a lot of signs. I'm not going to push the spiritual side here, but I'm aware of my journey. You know, it's a case of you're not here to be liked; you're here to lead. So you beat your own drum, and I let her say it because I thought it was a really good video, and it makes sense. It makes sense because, you know, I'm not here to be loved by everybody. I don't care. You know, I just want a core group that you can trust and feel safe with. And that's all I need. I'm not looking for popularity contests, you know. And I think when you do seek, before I don't think she says this, but like when you do seek a popularity contest, you want to be liked by everybody. Just think how much you have to diminish your light to achieve that. because effectively there's pockets of groups everywhere, and then you're going to have to be like, I can fit in with any group if I choose to, but the older I get, the wiser I get, the less I want to. There'll be times, of course, diplomatically, where you're going to do things, and you can have a moment with people. Well, I'm not going to say they're my best friends or anything, or someone I want to spend extended periods with. But you can still have like a moment with people. But overall, if you're looking to be liked by a huge amounts of people, it means you've then got to mirror them. So by mirroring them, because that's what people like copies of themselves. So if you mirror someone, it's not necessarily you being you. So you have to then remove parts of you to fit in. And think about that. If you really want to be really popular, you're just going to have to be everything you're not, because you can't possibly be liked by everybody. It's just, that's not the way the world works. And how people are built. I'm not sure if my screen's going funny. I think it's all right. But anyway, let's get back to this one.
Message is finding you. It's because that you are a leader. And I need you to know that you did not come here to be liked. You came here to lead. If you, your whole life, since you were a kid, felt like you didn't fit in, it's because you were born to stand out. And you were born to be seen and to be heard and to lead on a global scale. If you were the black sheep or the misunderstood one, it's because you're here to help others understand. But you diminish and squash your power the second you try to be liked, because leaders often aren't liked, but they are respected. This is your initiation into your leadership error. You're not here to fit in, and you're not here to be liked. You're here to lead.
I thought that's pretty good, Sometimes we all need pep talk. Doesn't matter how intelligent we are, sometimes we need pep talks of someone else as well, give us a bit of a reality check and help us sort of cope with our issues or situations. But like I've been saying for forever, I really can't. Oh, but take that off because that's ridiculous. Where we going? Yeah. Anyway, I've been saying for a long time like that. I genuinely just don't care. Like, so I'll say what I want to say, and it falls on deaf ears an awful lot of the time. But I do recognize that for the right people, it is liberating. And it's just about making yourself available for those people to hear it. It's going to trigger the other people, some of the morons. It's like, I don't really care, because, like I say, some people that get triggered, it's like they always want to be triggered anyway. Some people just like to be reactive, and they want to come across intelligent, but a lot of the time they're just thick as shit. And I'll admit that. I try to be as diplomatic as I can sometimes, but if someone pushes me enough, you're thick as shit sometimes. Like my mind, I think really fast. I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than everybody, but I am intelligent. I'm quick-witted. I can speak fast if I want to. So if someone comes at a debate sort of situation and I really want to go toe to toe, I can make most people seem stupid. It's like I have the potential to do that, if I want to. A lot of the time I choose not to, but when an idiot just comes and just says something really stupid, I just can't help but think, my God, they're deluded. And I recognise unhealed people. So some people are just inherently negative for the sake of negativity, and they're just trying to validate their own misery. It's all like, you could actually turn that around if you just invest in yourself and start to look at life in a different way and actually provide meaning to it. And then you can establish a new way of living, really, that can actually fulfill you and make you happy. But yeah, if people just want to choose to be abrasive and just choose to be a pain in the arse, just to be a pain in the arse, like, good luck to you, because it's like, it isn't changing my day, quite clearly. If negativity wore me down, I wouldn't create, would I? Actually creating the biggest thing. If anything, it triggers a thought in my head. So like, someone triggers me like that, it's like, oh, that's something to dissect. I'll go through the psychology of all that shit, and I'll go philosophical, and then I'll start freaking laying that out in the book. So like, my mind will just dissect the shit out of everything. If I recognize like an insecurity in someone, or there's something they've got to heal, or something they're projecting and they don't even realize they're projecting it, I'll dissect the living shit out of it. I'll just go to, and then I'll start going, wow, that's interesting. So yeah, so the thing is, I don't need to make people cry or to prove I'm right in a situation, and I just get on, So sometimes people might think they've won something because you're not being reactive. It's not that. I just can't bother bring myself down to the intellect of a moron. It's being honest. Anyway, I thought I'd show a little bit of this book, because there's a chapter I always talk about. Well, I don't always, but when I talk about my books, I often talk about one of my favourite chapters. And in all honesty, it is one of my favourite chapters. I used to say it's my favourite chapter. And I guess up until that point, it was. because this book was I released in 20. I'm going to try and get it right. 2022. Inspire Your Mind was to enlighten your soul was 2023. 2024 was Find Your Peace to Save Your Soul. 2025 is the new one that I'm working on. So this one's 2022. So that's credible. That's like 3 years ago. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Like, time is moving fast, no? And it had my favorite chapter called Children. I think it's going to be really healing to parents. I think it's going to be really healing to adults who suffered in childhood. I think overall it's a very healing chapter, and I'm so proud of it. But also, in the other books, when I'm reading them back, I'm like, oh, that's powerful. Oh, that's powerful. So now I can't definitively say it's the best chapter I've ever written. But up until that point, it was I felt it was, even though, again, I read one of my other books even before that, and I'll go, that's great too. So, but let's read. I don't know if I'm going to read all of it because it gives it, yeah, might as well. We'll see how we get on. So I really think it's healing. And I think sometimes, like, we need to see in ourselves, I think, the progress we're making. Like, I can get frustrated with the circumstances and feel it's not fair. But ultimately, when you break it down, it's like, that's our human side just feeling invalidated somehow. It's feeling flawed. It's just feeling suppressed. There's so many layers to it, but you break it down fundamentally. It's really important that we follow our calling, our passion, our gifts. It's literally what sets us free. Not necessarily what sets us apart, although it does set us apart from the average person, but really it sets us free for ourselves. You know, it's almost like if you could be doing anything, what would you want to do? And yeah, we have hobbies, we have I call it distractions. There's a lot of distractions we have, and we can throw ourselves into it and lose it. It's like ridiculous amounts of time to it, but it's not deeply fulfilling. It fulfills us superficially. It will fulfill us. It will distract us. It won't fulfill us. So you might do it for a period of time, but you won't. But once you won't feel fulfilled from it though, like deeply. There'll always be something nagging, something missing, and it's only when you follow your passions do you fulfill it. And that's me with my crafts, you know, with the books and the videos. Even when I get really fed up, it's like, this is what I enjoy doing. This is my passion. I want to help people heal. I want to transform people's lives for the better. And sometimes I'm going to have to talk about topics that are negative. It's going to be abrasive at times, but I don't do it to try to ruin someone's life. I'm not doing it to try and make someone cry. I'm doing it to try to make people heal. Literally raise a mirror to them. If this irritates you, why does it irritate you? What part of life is causing you issues? How can you improve yourself? What should you be focusing on? You know, how much have people projected onto you so it makes you sort of live a certain way? How much does that align with your values and what you want for your life? Like, what is it you actually want? And a lot of time you realize that it's not the everyday that everybody else lives by. We all crave something very unique. So it's stepping outside the bubble to define ourselves rather than be defined by others. You know, there's so many layers, of course. But of course, everything I talk about, I live by myself. So like I said at the very beginning, I am temperamental as shit, but that's because I process rapid. But when something's really heavy and I have to sort of process it really deeply, I'll be fiery like a dragon. You know, I'm like crazy. I'll go, I ain't doing this no more. I've had enough of this shit. I've had enough. And then a day or two later, I'm like, I probably should get on with it, you know, because I figured out that, you know, that's what I need to be focused on. And what it is, it's removing the unnecessary targets. If there's no targets and you create it just because you can, and there was nothing happening around you, you wouldn't worry about it. Now, of course, I have to be able to have a living just like everybody else. I have things I want for my life. I want experiences, and most of which requires finances to improve. So there is a genuine desire for things to improve, and I think it's reasonable to expect that. So unfortunately, my gifts are attached in some way to me being more prosperous in some way, just because then it opens up other things that would make me happy and fulfilled and give me a better life. So of course I want that, and the reality is I don't want to keep being exhausted all the time because it's not fair. So me having to go and seek resources by doing something else, meanwhile still having to commit the time to doing the other things, the things you are the calling, it's not fair. And that's what I was processing. So like in my head, all I was focusing, like when I was getting really fired up privately away from the camera, I was still trying to process it. And the one thing that just kept searing into my head was, I don't understand why everybody, because think about it, I've been doing this for years. Like I said that in the video, I've been doing it for like 7 years. I think the book's 6-7 years now. It's been a heavy period of my life. plus everything before that. But forget that. I always felt my first book should have been successful immediately. It deserved success. Yeah, I've continued to do more. I've done my videos, and yet I haven't been successful yet. And it's like, in my heart and every part of my being, I know I should be successful by now. When I say that, I'm not trying to say I should be better than everybody else and I should be all this. I shouldn't be struggling. I shouldn't be struggling. I shouldn't be at this situation where life's this hard. I should be thriving. Like, I should be able to comfortably afford holidays. I should be able to comfortably afford the things I need. I shouldn't have to go from one moment to one moment trying to figure out how I'm going to get my grocery shopping, how I'm going to pay my bills. That's not fair. It's not reasonable with the work I've done. So I'm not saying it to sort of be rude or act like I deserve far more than the average person. I just deserve to be comfortable. At the very least, I deserve to be comfortable, which then set me on the path thinking to myself, if everybody should be following their passions, and effectively, if you've got a talent or gift, it should be something embraced and it should be something we throw ourselves into, then why is it that it's so hard for people with gifts to make a living off of it? And I still haven't established the answer to that. It irritates me profoundly. If someone's got a unique gift or something that's really unique to them, why is it so hard for them to get a breakthrough? And it's a quandary because I kind of think you've got artists, you've got musicians, you've got people with incredible talents, and it could be any other thing, of course. But look how hard they have to work. So even if you think a musician, a lot of them are busking, they're doing social media, and it takes them years and years and years to get a breakthrough. And they don't always get a breakthrough, of course, but that's their gift. And then you see they work in menial positions, and you think, how the hell are they working there? They've got so much talent. So why is it so hard? Again, I haven't figured the answer out to that. But then when that drives into me, I get really angry because it's like, this isn't fair. It's not just about me. It's about everybody that embraces their gifts. We should all be thriving doing what we love. We shouldn't have to do all these menial tasks. Everybody should be embracing their gifts. So I don't understand at the moment, to be totally honest. It just drives you nuts. Anyway, that's one thing I was like processing, and that was just like igniting me further, to be totally honest, because I was already irritated beyond measure. The struggles I face, the fact that everything I've done for very long periods of time has always been in struggle. I haven't really had a huge period of life where I've had like really happy moments, or it's been easy. It's always been tough. Like, always. And it doesn't seem fair to me at all. It doesn't. And then once I start investing in me and I'm achieving my goals, fulfilling parts of me, that like parts of my dreams, and you're still struggling, it's like, this isn't fair. Like, what the hell? What does it take? Like, what does it take to not be suffering? Even when you invest in yourself, you suffer. You know, it's a real hard thing. And then eventually, again, we strip it away, and you think, okay, we don't have the tangible success. And it isn't fair. But you wouldn't say it was for nothing, because I've evolved immeasurably. So it's priceless. I think the evolution of ourselves from maybe insecurity, frustration, hot-tempered, wayward, or anything that really is not a true representation of ourselves, to then become our truest, authentic version. Which, of course, back then you think you are, but you're not. You're convinced, but you're not. You know, it's a bit warped. And then you really become, like I said, your true, authentic version. That is priceless beyond measure, isn't it? And I think that is the gift. That's the gift in itself. It's the beauty of it all. But, you know, hopefully you can get a breakthrough somewhere. But it can't be guaranteed. And I think we have to make peace with that. It can't be guaranteed. So anyway, I just wanted to just throw a little bit of this chapter. Hopefully we might do the whole chapter yet. But like I say, it's my favourite chapter, and I think it will heal so many people. And I've always felt that. And again, that's why I've been so frustrated that the books haven't done what they should do. They're there. It doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, so chapter 3, children. This is in Heal Your Mind to Free Your Soul. Everyone experiences a unique childhood, from poverty to wealth and freedom to suppression. No two people are the same, so we must be mindful that we all Oh, wait, before we do this, actually, I think it's a really good chapter. I love it. Some people might be surprised by how well I write. Like, I know, you know, for some people it's impossible. But I think it's worth understanding that if I can articulate this well on camera, you can bet your ass I can write. I'm not saying this to gloat. I'm just making it clear that it is my gift, but I have a gift to be able to communicate as well. So some authors are literally, they don't have an ability to articulate very well or confidently on camera or speaking publicly on all these things. I can do both. I've always said that with writing, like for instance, where I talk, when I do the books, I can sculpt, like I'll think the same way when I'm writing now, I'm talking now, but I can go over it and fine tune it. Whereas speaking, you're not going to edit while you speak, are you? You're not going to go, wait a minute, I didn't mean, let me just, you're not going to do that. And it's hard to remember an exact sentence. Whereas when it's written, you can read it again and again and again. You just keep sculpting it, like chipping away like ice. So just understand that as me sculpting it, of course. So anyway, because I only say that because I impress myself sometimes, and that's not to gloat. I just like, a lot of time I read my work back, I'm like, God damn, that's good. Again, why is it not successful? I don't know. Again, it's my gift. So I just appreciate what I'm good at. Chapter 3, Children. Everyone experiences a unique childhood, from poverty to wealth, freedom to suppression. No two people are the same, so we must be mindful that we all process things differently. Children, teenagers, and adults suffer and react angrily against the life endured. Some resort to gang life, often to fill a family bond they never had at home. But it's a dangerously false facade that never ends well. How many people must continue to suffer, and how many lives need to be ruined? All because so many people weren't nurtured, cherished, and adored. Instead, they were made to feel worthless. It's sad to consider how difficult some people's lives have been, and most of us have endured one trauma or another. Unless we take time to heal and transform, we will find our lives wasted pursuing paths we don't belong. On the other side of trauma and despair are freedom and hope. Don't allow the actions and oppression Don't allow the actions of oppressive people take us away from a better life than they provided. We don't have to, and certainly shouldn't force our trauma onto our children and loved ones. Instead, we should nurture our youth with love. By breaking toxic cycles of the past, we improve future generations' lives. Throughout history, children have been tightly controlled, with many expected to grow up far too young, thus missing out on the joy of being a child and having their innocence taken away. We must learn from history, especially our bloodlines, and do better than our ancestors. Allow children to be emotional, cry, express their anger and frustration, and experience the rainbow of emotions. If we continually suppress them and force them to hide and be someone they aren't, we need to consider why. People tend to fear vulnerability, so they regard displaying emotions as a weakness. But it takes courage to show how we feel. Whether sad or happy, authenticity should be embraced rather than shamed. The world would be better if everyone were free to be themselves without judgment. We are all original and unique, so we should be free to think and feel for ourselves and express ourselves naturally. Suppression and control don't serve anyone, and they never have. Yet many continue to consider screaming and shouting at their children as positive parenting. Respect gains respect. Loving our children, trusting them, and valuing their opinions enables them to feel positive about themselves and embrace who they are, which allows them to grow into balanced adults. We must be honest with ourselves and reflect upon how we interact with children and how we can better navigate situations. Children suffer if we cover up the cracks and don't address how we behave towards them. Our children are here to be cherished, not hated, so take a moment. Consider your childhood and what you wish could have been different. I was overprotective of my daughter in the past, and without realizing it, I controlled her more than I had intended, and indeed not how I envisioned. Upon reflection, I realized that I needed to give her room to grow and develop independently by giving her space and room to make mistakes. She knows I am here when she needs me, and of course, I'm assertive when necessary, but there is mutual respect between us where I don't need to shout. She knows there must be a reason for my seriousness, so she doesn't push against me. Likewise, if she has an outburst, something must be bothering her, which she can talk to me about when she chooses rather than me forcing her. We shouldn't expect more of children than we do of ourselves, and they aren't here to care for us. Too many perform tasks they shouldn't be required. As a child, I had to make my parents hot drinks such as tea, which may not be a big deal. However, it bothered me immensely. I don't ask my daughter to look after me. If I want a drink, I make it. She can enjoy herself and live in the moment without me burdening her or taking away her youth. Unless we begin to change the mindsets of the current generation, future generations will suffer. We must be open to change, look at ourselves and question whether we do the best we can. Have we made mistakes? We can correct mistakes, but must drop our egos and humble ourselves. Refusing to hurt our pride and ego is hardly worth the price of blindly leading our families into chaos and generational trauma. We damage those around us without realizing, and some never heal. So the pain remains traumatizing throughout life. If we could go back in time, how far would we go? Would we return to the moment we suffered? Or would we go deep into history, when our ancestors suffered, and change what happened? Of course, the reality is that we can't go back in time. We need to make peace with anything that happened, apologize, forgive, heal ourselves, and embrace a new lifestyle focused on love. Chastising ourselves and others won't change the past, but we can learn, heal, and alter the present to instigate the change needed to break generational chains that bind us and become the hope of a new generation. That would be something to be proud of, rather than an inflated ego telling us we are fantastic when maybe we've been anything but. It's hard for me to read this with a microphone in a way. Not everyone has made substantial mistakes and not everyone is perfect, but each of us needs to be able to humble ourselves, reflect and recognize what is right and wrong. How we treat our children from the start determines how they behave and feel. When we lose control early, an uphill battle ensues. When we try to regain control of situations, furthering the divide between parent and child. So screaming and shouting becomes standard. When any relationship resorts to screaming and shouting, it's evident that respect doesn't exist and an ending of separation is guaranteed. The difference with children is that we take them for granted, as if they are our possessions as they grow, develop and mature. After all, they cannot choose where they live when they are young. Admittedly, children are sometimes a handful. They test boundaries. But a relationship thrives with consistency, structure, and fair, respectful rules. We have no right to feel like we own anyone. That's a narcissistic and toxic trait. How can we expect to receive respect if we don't give it? We can change circumstances and mend relationships by alleviating some pressure, reduce the need to control and set boundaries. Children need structure with coherent rules, which are fair and manageable, to fulfill a real purpose, rather than set for the sole reason of dominance. Forced threats are the shallowest form of discipline, which reveals insecurity and weakness. Children have remarkable perceptions, so upon witnessing these moments they lose respect. Unlike some adults, they are constantly learning. When children sense weakness and a chink in the armour, it will be exploited and remembered for future reference to ignore punishments. Never say anything with no follow-through. There must be action. It's better to say nothing and lose an argument than extend it to the point where we're clutching at straws. Where mutual respect exists, there shouldn't be a need for threats. By definition, a threat is to attack and assert ourselves. But rather than command, we should support. Threatening and scaring people shows a loss of control over ourselves and situations. We need to remain in control of our emotions and be role models by providing choices and options rather than sticking to rigid expectations. We need to consider what we expect of children and why. When there are fewer rules, there are fewer arguments, more harmony, and everyone has a balanced life. Children sometimes can't do right no matter what they do. So rather than making them anxious and confused, consider what's expected and be flexible with the approach and expectations. No one is perfect, especially children. How can they be? When they are still trying to figure out the world around them and the rules that bind their daily lives. Without consistency, what chance do they have? It'd be impossible for anyone to follow the rules without an apparent routine or structure. If we desire a future relationship with our children, clearly, By pushing them far enough, they will likely leave and not return. They will move away and won't look back, seeking a better life elsewhere to embrace freedom. We don't want to mess them up and affect their child adulthood, burdened by the weight of their past. Making mistakes is part of life. So we shouldn't bind ourselves with pride and refuse to change, harming their development and prospects. Instead, we need to build a positive foundation for their happiness. Humility is an invaluable gift and more attractive than greed and self-entitlement. Some people demand everything to be about them, and they deserve things above someone else. That stems from an inflated ego, overcompensating for insecurities or recovering through trauma. Either way, we should strive to be better than circumstances and transmute situations with humility rather than spite. Taking something we haven't earned from someone just because we can is hardly the actions of an honest person. So while overcoming childhood issues is essential, we need to check ourselves and strive to be better in every moment. There should be an awareness for those who endured traumatic childhoods that it wasn't our fault, but merely the victim of parents or carers who didn't deserve the honour of raising us. They are responsible for their behaviour and actions when they should have protected rather than hurt us. Rather than allowing childhood experiences to define us, use memories as inspiration to help teach others, heal and overcome. Some people are introverts and most won't have the strength to share their stories. And that's okay. Merely finding the will to carry on and live a better life than the one afforded is progress enough. It's imperative not to take the pain and past suffering and use it against people in the future. Cycles end. Otherwise, situations repeat and innocent people endure similar suffering. New people should be treated with kindness and allowed to show who they are. After all, no two people are the same, regardless of how many people have hurt us in the past. However, if they aren't kind, have integrity and set boundaries by moving forward knowing that the right people will enter our lives at the right time. By being respectful against all odds, we don't push away positive opportunities and the potential for a beautiful life. Ultimately, it is up to us how we live our lives and whether we use experiences to elevate or weigh us down. I witness too much hate in society. So much would be avoidable if only people chose to positively direct their emotions and actions rather than channel them towards greed and anger. Theft and hate crimes shouldn't exist, but they do. While people can only heal through choice, each of us impacts our lives and those around us with the decisions we make every day. By making a positive difference rather than spreading negativity, we begin to heal the planet and in the long term, instigate a fundamental change felt for generations. Let's be that change. Like I say, that's one chapter. It's one of my favourite chapters. But like I say, I've done more, but that's in Heal Your Mind, Free Your Soul. It's just the one that sticks to my memory, really. But I think it will help. Hopefully, it'll help people heal. I think it sets a set of guidelines, really. I think in terms of raising children, because some people maybe haven't even been given the tools of how to cope. I think it just within that chapter it helps do that. I think it alleviates the trauma people have experienced. It allows people to let go and direct their energy in a different direction. Because I think the thing is, without deviating too much from that chapter, but too many people, they hold so tight to the past, they just don't let it go. So if you've got trauma or you've suffered, it's always looking back to that and not feeling worth it. But you've got to sometimes realize that it's the other way around. It's like you feel insignificant or inferior because you wasn't appreciated, adored, or respected, or even noticed. But the way you've got to look at it is the fact that it means those people that were part of your life at that period of time, they didn't deserve you. It was like either they didn't see your qualities because they weren't supposed to see your qualities, or you were so bright, such a source of light that it threatened their existence. Because that's what some people get. They get spiteful because they're jealous. They won't, of course, say that. They'll make you feel small and shallow. But again, it's setting boundaries. It's forgiving for what people have done, but not allow everybody back into. So when you forgive, it's not necessarily saying, "Oh, I forgive," and then you let them repeat the same shit all over again. Sometimes it's I forgive for myself. It's not for you. It's forgive because now I've healed it and I've let go of the past. I understand you had your issues. I understand you had your insecurities and you projected it onto me. You never gave me a chance. You never valued me because you was never supposed to stay in my life. And I understand that now. What you did to me made me so strong as an adult. I had so much to process. And from those experiences, I now have the tools to help other people. But obviously the main thing is I'm helping myself, so I would never put up with that in adulthood. They're the lessons to learn from it, you know. It's empowering, and that's literally what people should be doing. And of course, if people it's not like people might have a pity party and they might start making you feel sorry for them, but it's like be strong enough to say I don't need that though. Like, I understand maybe you have regrets now, maybe you would like to make it up to me, and maybe things could move forward in that way, but I've grown beyond it. You now need me more than I need you. You had your chance with me. I'd rather give new people a chance who haven't hurt me. But I wish you healing and I hope you do well in life. Hope things improve for you. And then people might try and latch on, but it's like, you had your moment. A chapter's ended. I see it as chapters. You don't always have to bring people into your new chapters. You can literally go into that and have a new experience. And you shouldn't have to feel guilty for that. Again, I've probably covered it. I think I've covered a lot of this in various forms across my books and even in my upcoming ones. And but it's all about empowerment, you know. But yeah, I'm not going to drag this video on. I just really just want to make the point now. I think hopefully it's come across really the way I transmute, the way I see life, and we all have our ups and downs in the same way where I'm reactive, other people will be. When you go on a healing journey, of course, you know, when you've shed the layers and you're becoming your best self, it stands to reason that life should be happy. It's just what we expect. You expect to get to the end of your light at the end of the tunnel sort of situation, don't we? And I think, if anything, I'm just a living example to show that it doesn't always work out how you're anticipating it. And the process can be far longer than you expect. But I think one way to look at it is entirely, because you could sit there and go, oh, it was a waste of time. I can't believe I put all that time and energy in for what? And we get it. It's easy to get like that. I'm getting like that at moments. But what's the alternative? That's what we've got to think. The alternative is to keep ourselves in situations where people don't respect us anyway. They limit our potential. You've always got to answer to people, so it's like it slows you down. You can't follow your own dreams and goals because there's always an obligation to someone else. They'll always project. They'll always keep you miserable. Always downplay your traits. So you lose an awful lot of freedom to suppression of other people who don't even value you anyway. And you haven't even invested in yourself. So there's all these layers that would never have happened. So, okay, yeah, maybe things are not working out as I hoped, and maybe I haven't had the breakthrough that I feel I deserve. But at the same time, the alternative is far worse. This is far better. Because I get like that. You get a bit lonely at times, but again, I'm not desperate. It's not a desperation lonely. It's just a loneliness where I feel I could contribute to a relationship. I know I could be happy. There's so much missing. I want to travel more. All these little things are not happening at the moment. Of course, I want my finances, and I want to be able to help more people. So when I say about like the views, it's not because I don't care about fame. I don't care about reputation and all that nonsense. That's why I don't care about followers. I don't give a shit about followers. I could have 0 followers. I really don't care. I don't need people to like me or valid. I don't need that validation. That's not what I seek. But I want to know I'm helping people. So people can like, I could help people and people can hate me for it, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with that. So I'm not looking for popularity contest. I just want to know what I've done is helping people, and it makes me feel good. Of course, I would like my life to elevate, but beyond that, at the very least, I want to know it's impacting people, because otherwise I'm writing and I'm working, I'm doing my videos, and it's like, but it's falling on deaf ears. It's not helping people, and I think it should. You want to for my life, I want to have a positive contribution to the world, even if it's not appreciated. Even in myself, I want to know I did something, and I think that's all I seek. You got knocked out by a microphone. Exaggeration, but yeah, anyway. Hopefully this has been coherent, because like I said at the beginning, I haven't had to sleep. I'm all over the place mentally.